The age-old tradition of ghost stories around the campfire has been something that has evolved over the years, but it wouldn't be until 2001 thanks to a little-known story called Ted the Caver. Then the age of creepypastas would take off. This genre of internet horror stories would take on many subgenres, such as cryptids, experiments gone wrong, horrifying and tragic events, twisted versions of family-friendly shows, weird serial killers, original characters, and the topic for today, video games. And these two malevolent game-twisting demons might as well be the face of that subgenre.
What the hell are you doing? Are you lowering your voice? No, I just thought, it'd be fun for, Halloween. Stop that. No. Sonic.EXE, the demon of all things, Sonic. And Red, the kaiju-sized terror of NES Godzilla. Can I still do the deep voice? Shut up. For this matchup, we'll mainly be sticking to their original source material and works. I mean, seriously, do you expect us to do Friday Night Funkin' for a matchup like this? With that said, I make Deezes, and it's my job to go over their origin and skills to see who would win in this episode of The Debate Club. Stop it! No! On an unsuspecting day, a young man named Tom would receive a letter in the mail from his buddy Kyle. It contained a handwritten letter and a disc. The letter sounded like a plea for mercy, begging for Tom to destroy the disc at all costs. However, Tom didn't really believe him and thought Kyle was playing a prank on him. So he took the disc and put it in his computer. What booted up on the screen looked like a simple PC port of the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. Tom, being a massive Sonic fan, decided to play it. However, once the game started, the intro screen flashed something different for a split second. But Tom brushed it off as some sort of glitch. Things would change for the weirder though, as what looked like a character select screen popped up, with Sonic nowhere to be found. After running around the level as Tails, he soon came face to face with Sonic, or what looked to be Sonic, but as he got closer, red static started to cover the screen, and once he got close to the hedgehog, his eyes opened, but they weren't his normal eyes at all. They were pitch black with red pupils and what looked like blood coming from his eyes. This was not Sonic the Hedgehog. This was none other than Sonic.EXE. So yeah, turns out Kyle wasn't kidding, and the thing haunting this disc was also responsible for his death. This game is nothing more than a hellhole for this Sonic. In this instance, we'll call him X for now. He will torture his victims who would fall into his game. This implies that X is able to interact with the real world and drag his victims into the game. After Tom witnessed the deaths of Tails, Knuckles, and Eggman, it was his turn to suffer, and he was confronted by, you gotta be kidding me, a Sonic plushie with blood on it. Now it's spooky. I might as well throw away all the Sonic merch you have. What are you talking about? Sonic would never hurt me, right? I'm still baffled that the thing capable of doing this is a goddamn Sonic with bleeding eyes. Like seriously, who would actually be dumb enough to bring home a random game disc and pop it into their PC? Yeah, I just found this random CD that just says Mario on it. Let's pop it in and see what happens. Dude, what the hell? It's for your own goddamn good. I hate you. But there's more to X than just the powers he holds. He's a master manipulator and a trickster, able to create his own cult, the Cult of X, dedicated to serving X and carrying out his actions in the real world, as he saw himself as a god. Their main goal was to help X bring more people to his world and force them to become their favorite Sonic characters? I guess being Shadow would be cool. Oh god, I don't want to be Chris Thorndike, I don't want to be Chris Thorndike! Huh? Nothing? Okay. Anyways, he was able to manipulate the minds of those with evil in their hearts. He uses it on his own slaves to carry out his actions. With all these powers at his side, X was willing to make the world fall to his knees, and to make sure everyone would become his playthings. And he's a pretty powerful entity at that. Whether you like it or not, it shouldn't be scoffed at. Scaling into the classic iterations of the characters he's shown killing, characters like Tails and Knuckles have been shown in the original games to break through stone walls the size of buildings with their own bodies. And if he's able to interact with the entirety of the classic series, given that Tails and Knuckles didn't appear until 2 and 3, he could potentially keep up with characters like the classic iteration of Metal Sonic, who has been stated to be able to move at the speed of light. And as mentioned before, he's even been shown to likely create and control the very world he resides in, making him almost a threat to reality itself. However, X's playful nature is somewhat of a glaring weakness, as toying with his victims isn't really effective for him to come up with any strategies or to stay focused at the task at hand. There's also the fact that he's only able to do most of what he's capable within his own world, meaning that if he was outside of it, he wouldn't be able to do what he's normally able to do outside of his own games. And yet, despite his infamous reputation in the Creepypasta fanbase, coming from a very flawed, poorly written, and cliched story, he still became a massive influence on the Creepypasta fanbase, and even those outside of it just because of how popular he was, even inspiring fans to make their own stories and iterations of the character. With the legacy he left behind, it's no wonder that X gave nightmares to those on the internet back then, and even still to this day, until he makes everyone and everything his plaything. He won't stop forcing everyone to see why he sees himself as their god.
We all want to relive our childhoods, whether we want to admit it or not. This was the case for a young man named Zachary who wanted to relive his glory days with his favorite game as a child, Godzilla, Monster of Monsters. One day, he found a copy of it on eBay and ordered it, ready to relive his childhood. However, this proved to be a mistake, as he was unaware of the hell that he was about to experience and what once was his childhood game. When Zachary started playing, things seemed normal at first, as he relived his childhood and was enjoying it. Things started to get weird as his fight with Kazora began. The game somewhat began glitching red. Things only got even weirder with kaijus that weren't supposed to be in the game began to appear. Zachary brushed them off. But then, after defeating Biolante, a weird red face stood in its place. Moving forward, it led him to a level that resembled a hellish landscape with the word "Run" at the top of the screen. At first he was confused, he didn't know what this was, but it soon led him to come across the monster that would soon become the bane of his existence, a single entity that only went by one name: Red. As Zachary got further and further through the game, Red would follow him and constantly reappear to chase him. The game would ultimately get even more stranger, as things that were never meant to be in the original game appeared, and even some messed up things in the later world started to show. It wouldn't be until their last encounter where Zachary soon learned just how much of a threat Red truly was. He has the ability to breathe fire, use his long tongue to snatch his prey and devour them, spear opponents with his long tail, regenerate from any damage taken to him, and even teleport. I think it's an important rule of thumb to say that something this big shouldn't be allowed to teleport. He's also able to transform between two different forms. First is his aquatic form, allowing him to breathe and swim underwater. The other one is his flight form, which allows him to fly through the air. Those are nothing compared to his more grotesque and spiritual abilities. He's able to warp the fabric of the game he resides in, and can even create anything he wants within it. He's also able to interact with the outside world, such as inflicting pain on the player. He's also able to paralyze others, and can even one-shot anything within the run levels, despite this breaking the rules of the game. He's been stated to absorb the energy of all kaijus he kills simply by eating them, meaning he can gain the powers of just about anything he eats. Same thing with me. Mama D's has always told me to eat my protein so I can become big and strong. Maybe not demonic kaiju level strong, but, strong. Fuse monsters within the game together, necromancy, play minds into doing whatever he wants, and can even manipulate and drag souls into the game he resides, and can even be shown to even harm them. With all these powers at his disposal, Zachary was definitely in a tough situation against the giant monstrosity, but Red would soon reveal that he was more than just a monster. He'd known Zachary for a long time, and soon revealed that he was the one responsible for the death of Zachary's childhood girlfriend, Melissa, by manipulating her mind into,
your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
Man, if I had a nickel for every low-tier god joke I made in this series. I'm not finishing the joke. After Red killed every single monster in his way, it seemed hopeless for Zachary. However, the spirit of Melissa, which was inside the game the whole time, was able to help Zachary face off against Red once and for all. In a last-ditch effort, she gave him the monster he needed to take him down. Axios, the Golden Light. You butchered it, probably. Finally, a creepypasta antagonist I can actually appreciate. I mean, just look at the design. That's how you make a scary-looking creature. By the way, what pissed off Red so much in the first place? Oh, I think Zachary just kind of insulted him one time. Huh. Do you think Red should take anger management classes? I doubt they have rooms big enough for kaijus. He's able to battle and keep up with Mothra, who has been stated to be able to move faster than light. He's also able to resist glitches in the game that would otherwise harm other kaijus. He's also been implied to be the creator of places such as the Killzone levels and Zenith, the final world of the game, which is most likely a separate planet given how the worlds in the game are structured as their own. And having control of his own world would put him on a scale up to the universal level. Red has also been seen as ruthless and usually doesn't hesitate when it comes to trying to tear his victims apart, and fighting other kaiju shows that he's capable of full-on combat. I mean, just look at this. This is peak fighting. Yet despite being defeated in the end, Red made sure to leave a permanent mark on not only Zachary's life, but on the reader as well. There hasn't been many stories made similar to it, despite how well it was received. But ultimately, that's probably what helped it stand out amongst the rest, since there's nothing quite like it. And perhaps he might not be as dead as you think. He could still be wandering out there, waiting for the next player to pick up his cartridge. So don't let nostalgia blind you, because maybe you might make the same mistake Zachary did. And perhaps there might be more to the god of Godzilla. Alright, it's time. Both combatants are ready, and it is time to put the debate to rest.
I don't like it when freaks like you come out of nowhere into my world. Yourself claiming to be a god is quite beneath at that. If I wasn't here to take your world for myself. Trust me, you're messing with a god. If you want to take this world from its controller, then you'll have to get past its god! I have to admit, you've been the most fun I've had to play with in a long time. I'm afraid your little game is going to end here. I believe it's time to make things a bit more interesting. Oh, quite the contrary. Puppets, obey your master. yourself one simple command. Kill yourself. Nobody plays God. Because they end up with the same fate as the rodent who thought he was such.
We might need a new TV. And a new house. And an exorcism. Both EXE and Red are capable of manipulating and destroying souls. Both are capable of manipulating their game worlds and affecting the real world, so they definitely have each other matched in a lot of ways. Now, while EXE's would be capable of moving the world around him, Red's transformations would be able to help him adapt to wherever they end up, while EXE wasn't nearly shown to be as adaptable. And even if he was, he wouldn't be able to counter Red's corruption. So what was the deciding factor? Was it power? Well, both can manipulate the worlds around them, so... Okay, how about speed? Well, both can reach similar amounts of speed and both can teleport, so null factor. What about durability? Well, both are basically unkillable demons that reside inside a gaming world, so... No? So what was it? Well, it all comes down to their very character. Unlike Red, EXE enjoys toying with his victims and playing around, not really going for the kill. Unlike Red, who would spend no time in actually delivering the final blow. Plus, fighting actual kaijus in combat would give Red much more fighting experience compared to EXE, who just usually kills his victims with little to no effort and hasn't really been shown to fight. It's like if a bully went up against a really strong guy. Sonic.EXE was deadly and can definitely win with a lucky shot, but Red's unshakable corruption, better fighting experience, and more serious nature meant that all Sonic.EXE can do was run. EXE might have seen himself as a god, but in the end, all he saw was Red. The winner is Red.